Tonight, the sprint to Iowa. The race is too close to call. Republican Mike Huckabee's bizarre move. The phantom attack ad. He showed it to the media. Why won't he show it to you? I'm Harry Smith. Also tonight, the crisis in Pakistan and the uproar over their elections. Opposition parties are now demanding the vote be held without delay as new video fuels the violent controversy over how Benazir Bhutto died. And what would New Year's Eve be without a little bubbly? It may be about to get a lot harder to find.
This is the CBS Evening News with Katie Couric.
Good evening. Katie is off. 3 nights before the first votes are cast, and no single candidate has emerged as a frontrunner in Iowa. The latest poll of Republicans shows Mitt Romney retaking a slim lead from Mike Huckabee. Fred Thompson and John McCain appear to be battling for third place. Our team of correspondents has fanned out across Iowa for the final push to Thursday's caucuses. We begin with Nancy Cordes in Des Moines and a strange development involving Huckabee. Nancy?
Harry, it started with a pledge that many Iowans would probably welcome right about now to stop negative campaigning. But what Huckabee said next stunned reporters and even some of his own staffers. Huckabee's decision to pull a new negative ad was so last minute, aides didn't even have time to remove the placard skewering Mitt Romney that had been set up for his press conference. But as soon as he pledged to go positive, Huckabee said this.
I want to show you the ad. You'll get a chance to find out exactly what we're doing.
And then he showed it, the very ad he had just renounced, in which he calls Romney dishonest.
Governor, there are a lot of people who are going to say it's hypocritical to say that you're not going to run an ad and then show it in a room where there are 60 cameras so that everyone can show it on television and run the transcript in newspapers. How do you counter that?
Well, by the same token, if I came and said we were going to run an ad, but we're not going to run an ad, you'd say, where's the ad?
The avid jogger had been taking jabs at Romney just hours earlier, implying he's a flip-flopper when asked how the two men would match up in a foot race.
Bring him out here. Let's see.
What do you think about the campaign he's running?
Of course, he'll be running both ways the whole time. So.
Huckabee finds himself in a bind in the closing days of this race. Polls suggest Romney's constant assault on him on the airwaves may have hit their target.
Mike Huckabee, soft on government spending.
Costing Huckabee his front-runner status. Romney's response to all this?
The press conference which Governor Huckabee had today, I think, is confusing to the people of Iowa.
Making things more confusing, Huckabee would not rule out running negative ads in the future. He said he wanted to wait, Harry, to see how the voters respond to his new pledge.
Nancy Cordes, thanks. On the Democratic side, the race in Iowa is about as close as it can get. The latest poll shows John Edwards, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama in a statistical dead heat. Jim Axelrod is in Iowa Falls. Good evening, Jim.
Well, hey, Harry, it's with just 2 full days of campaigning left. Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are in a dogfight. And in their final dash to the finish line, they're targeting the same crowd, Iowa's undecided Democrats. As many as 30% of Democrats likely to caucus haven't fully made up their minds, if you buy the polls.
If you had to walk into the caucuses right now, who would you caucus for?
I don't know. I'm still unsure.
This has been our message since the beginning of the campaign. Change.
In these last hours, Barack Obama stopped criticizing his rivals by name in his stump speech, not wanting to look nasty.
We know that we've got to pick a president who is prepared and ready to lead on day one.
The Clinton campaign hopes reaction to her claims of greater experience is more like Rex Shepard's.
Why do you like her?
Because of her background, her experience.
And less like LaDawn Edwards.
I think what we really need is foreign policy experience right now. And
but they keep positioning her as the candidate of experience.
They try. Not everybody's buying that.
The other focus now, turnout, especially first-timers.
What will be the deciding factors to whether or not you go out Thursday night or not?
Because I never have before, and I just feel like it's new to me. And
a little confusing?
Yeah, I'm not going to know what to do, and people are going to look at me.
But don't think for a second that the Clinton and Obama campaigns are focused solely on each other. In fact, the Democrat who may well have the most momentum right now, John Edwards. Harry?
Jim Axelrod, thanks. For Edwards, it may be a case of hard work and persistence paying off. Chip Reed continues our coverage from Emmitsburg, Iowa. Chip?
Well, good evening, Harry. In Iowa's larger cities, John Edwards routinely gets big crowds and standing ovations. But it's here in the small, remote towns where you can really see just how deep his support is. John Edwards has been barnstorming the small towns of Iowa for more than 4 years, logging more grueling miles than any other candidate. He's the only one who's visited each of Iowa's 99 counties at least twice, finding familiar faces even in the farthest corners of the state. They tend to be older, and they don't just support him.
Thank you all very much.
They're devoted to him.
Oh, he's strong, and he says the truth, and he listens.
Many here say they've gotten to know him so well they feel a deep personal bond. You've seen him how many times?
Right.
And do you like him more every time?
Yes, I do. Made me cry today.
And many of these voters supported him in 2004. They remember how close he came to winning here in Iowa, and they really want him to win this time. So you can bet no matter how cold it is on caucus night, they'll be there. Harry?
Chip Reed, thanks. Iowa may be the first contest in the presidential campaign, but some candidates are looking past it. Here's tonight's CBS News Campaign 08 Notebook.
Thank you for your kind hospitality.
Tonight, Republican John McCain is campaigning in New Hampshire, where the latest poll now shows him tied for the lead with Mitt Romney. The Granite State holds its primary a week from tomorrow.
The president-to-be, Rudy Giuliani. Come on up here.
Where is Rudy? The Republican who's now fighting to keep his lead in national polls took today off and is all but ignoring Iowa and New Hampshire. Today, his campaign defended that strategy, saying it's counting on victory in later contests like Florida, which is rich with delegates.
Well, good morning.
And another New York mayor is apparently still thinking of jumping into the race. Next week, billionaire Mike Bloomberg meets with a bipartisan group of politicians to consider a third-party run at the White House. Back to Iowa now. Some critics argue it doesn't deserve all the attention it's getting. It's a small state and doesn't have much in common with the rest of the country. For one thing, it's overwhelmingly white, nearly 95%, compared to about 80% for the entire United States. And despite all the hoopla, very few Iowans actually take part in the caucuses. More from our senior political correspondent, Jeff Greenfield.
This is the right direction. For all of the frenzy, all those donuts you've been eating here on the campaign trail, for all the massive media crush,
Crossing the street?
Fred Thompson's tax cut plan leads the...
For all the ads, nearly 45,000 of them so far.
I mean, really? When is it going to stop?
It's hard to remember that the results Thursday night will be determined by a tiny sliver of the electorate. In a nation where more than 120 million people went to the polls in November 2004.
Nice to meet you.
The Iowa caucus results will likely be shaped by what amounts to a handful of people. This year, estimates are the Democrats will draw perhaps 150,000 to their caucuses, while the Republicans expect about 85,000. That's a total of barely 10% of eligible voters here in Iowa.
I love it. That's very nice. Can I sign a few of those, please?
With both contests appearing close, a change of heart of, say, 5,000 people could mean the difference between triumph and disaster. By contrast, the 2000 New Hampshire primaries drew 44% of eligible voters in that state.
You're nice and friendly.
But because Iowa looms so large on the political landscape, the top three Democrats alone have spent some $17 million just on TV ads here.
How are you?
Add in Republican spending and money for the mailings that flood the mailboxes in Iowa, and we're likely looking at a $65 million investment to reach at most 250,000 caucus goers.
Cash money, people. Yeah,
That comes out, by the way, to about $275 per caucus participant. At that rate, it might be cheaper for a candidate to drive around the state handing out $100 bills. One more point. If, in fact, only a handful of voters decides who wins and who loses, will the media have the restraint not to declare winners and losers based on so small a number of participants, Harry?
We'll find out in a couple of nights. Jeff Greenfield, thanks. Now to the crisis in Pakistan. U.S. officials say diplomats repeatedly told Benazir Bhutto about threats on her life, even gave her security advice in the weeks before the former Pakistani prime minister was assassinated. And a new video is raising doubts about the government's version of how she died. From Islamabad, here's Chief Foreign Correspondent Lara Logan.
With the appearance of this grainy cell phone video, the mystery surrounding Benazir Bhutto's death has only deepened. This exclusive footage obtained by Britain's ITN Channel 4 appears to show her shawl moving moments after gunshots rang out, suggesting she may have been hit. That was not visible in earlier footage released by the Pakistani government, which shed no light on exactly how Bhutto was killed. But it was the government's insistence that she was not shot and died from a skull fracture when her head hit the vehicle that has rarely angered her followers.
This shrine is one of many memorials to Benazir Bhutto across Pakistan. Amongst her supporters, there's no doubt that she died from being shot.
And the government's version of events?
A bunch of lies.
A bunch of lies. A lawyer and close friend to Bhutto, Babar Awan, says he's the only non-government person to have seen her body in the morgue and has no doubt what killed her.
2 gunshot wounds approximately over here.
Most Pakistanis believe they'll never know the truth. While many here are still in mourning, life in much of the country is slowly returning to normal. The main issue now is the parliamentary election. Bhutto's party wants it to go ahead as planned on January 8th. But the reality is the election will be delayed, most likely, insiders tell CBS News, for at least 4 weeks, and possibly as long as 8 or 9. That delay could ensure a free and fair election, or throw Pakistan's democracy into greater turmoil. Lara Logan, CBS News, Islamabad, Pakistan.
Meanwhile, in Kenya, violent protests continued today following that country's election. More than 100 people have been killed in rioting since the president of Kenya was declared the winner of Thursday's vote. The opposition says he stole the election. Much of the violence is along ethnic lines. The president and his chief opponent belong to different tribes. There's more CBS News ahead. Up next, hold on to your credit cards. Why your chances of falling victim to ID theft just got a whole lot greater.